Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the newly released Transformers Siege War for Cybertron Voyager class Soundwave, one of my most anticipated figures from the brand new Transformers Siege toy line. As always, we'll take a quick look at the packaging and then we'll take an extremely detailed look at the figure himself. Taking a quick look at the packaging, it is that very stylistic and extremely intriguing looking box design. You've got a fantastic piece of artwork of Soundwave as he appears on Cybertron. It really does look fantastic. It states that he's a Voyager class. You've got the Siege War for Cybertron trilogy logo down on the base. The other side of the packaging has an image of the Autobots as well as the Decepticons with the arc leaving Cybertron, Transformers War for Cybertron trilogy. And the back of the packaging showcases the figure in both his robot mode as well as his spaceship mode. It also showcases how he is compatible with some of the Micromasters such as Laserbeak and Ravage, and that you can use the Battle Masters to incorporate weaponry on this figure, and that you can use the blast effects on Soundwave's weapons. So overall for the packaging, it's fairly straightforward. However, I am a massive fan of the overall Siege design. And here we have the Transformers Siege War for Cybertron Voyager class Soundwave out of his packaging, and as he comes packaged in his awesome robot mode. This is definitely one of my favourite figures from the Siege line so far. It's a fantastic release by Hasbro. Taking a look at some of the sharper details on the figure, Soundwave has got a fantastic looking head sculpt. It's extremely G1 reminiscent. My only complaint about it would be that I would have preferred them to have used transparent red plastic as opposed to this orange plastic, but I kind of understand what they were going for when they did this. I really love this shattered effect that they've done to the tape deck. It really does look very authentic and look as if though it is cracked glass. You've got really G1 reminiscent Decepticon insignia. You've also got Soundwave's very iconic shoulder cannon, which looks very G1-esque. I really do like the sculpted in detailing, particularly on the arms. There is so much mechanical detail picked out. We do have that Siege weathering effect throughout the figure. However, it's nowhere near as unsightly as on other figures. You've got some nice detailing here on the crutch section, which appears to be rewind, fast forward and play buttons of a boombox. Unfortunately, this figure doesn't turn into a boombox. It does turn into this spaceship, which is such a shame as I really do think they missed the mark on that. It would have been great to have had this transformed into his iconic boombox alt mode, but nevertheless the robot mode is very G1. Moving down to the thighs, there isn't much in terms of detail here. They are just a grey plastic, but the sculpt work is fantastic. And moving down to the shins, they really have applied a lot of paint applications to these to make them look extremely weathered and realistic. As you can see, we've got really nice circuitry detail and mechanical components on the upper shin section with a really nice gold type of paint, which seems to be breaking up this vent section with a more darker black plastic in the center with this silver weather wash throughout, which I think looks really decent. Turning to the back of the figure, there really isn't much going on here. There isn't much in terms of excess kibble besides these pieces, but they are rather alien-esque, so it kind of blends in with the design of Soundwave. We've also got these sections under the arms, but like I said, they don't look too out of place as this section here kind of shields them. So overall for detail, it's a really awesome looking Soundwave figure and is very G1-esque. Turning to the articulation of Soundwave, his head is on a ball joint, so it can look up that far and down as well as tilt side to side. It can also rotate left and right. The arms can do a full 360-degree rotation, and then they can also hinge out to the sides. There is also a 360-degree rotation just above the elbow section. The elbows are double jointed due to transformation, so you can get a really deep bend, and due to the way that the finger is actually pointed, you can actually get Soundwave pressing his eject button on the top, which I think is a really nice attention to detail. Unfortunately, there is no wrist swivel. I would have loved it if they could have implemented that into the figure, but it's not a major drawback. The figure does have a great waist articulation joint, which could do 360, and due to transformation, he does have what I believe is an unintentional ab crunch. So just take the figure and crunch him forwards, and that is about as much range as you're going to get out of this makeshift ab crunch joint. It's a great use of the transformation joints, and it does definitely help for posing. These sections here are on flaps, so they are able to be lifted up in order to aid the legs to kick forwards that far. They can kick back all the way that far. You can do the splits the full way. There is also a full 360-degree rotation at the thigh, as well as a 90-degree bend, and the figure also has an ankle rocker joint. So overall for articulation, Siege Soundwave is fantastic for a Voyager class scaled figure. In terms of accessories, Soundwave does come with 3. The first of which is rather a throwaway accessory. It is this grey pistol-like weapon. It does extend and is mainly used to combine these two weapons. However, I am actually unable to combine these weapons due to this section in here actually stressing, it does look as if though it will snap if I force this in, and it's not really a mode that I'm too fussed about. He does come with his signature sidearm rifle, which looks really cool. It's very reminiscent of his shoulder cannon. However, the nozzle section is a lot more elongated and is of a grey type of plastic. You've got the red rings which go around, which looks awesome, and this can be placed into both of the figure's hands. The third accessory he comes with is of course his shoulder cannon. This looks really cool and is very similar to the pistol that we just took a look at. However, the front section has been changed for a more G1 inspired shoulder cannon. As you can see, there is some really nice sculpted in detail to look as if though this is fully armored up, and in order to implement this on the figure, there is a big port that this post here will literally just slide into, just like so. It is on a hinge, so it can be brought down all the way or can be lifted up, and it can also rotate side to side depending on how you wish to display it. One of the main gimmicks that this particular figure has is that he actually has a spring-loaded cassette holder. Pressing this grey button up the top will eject this, and if you were to buy the Micromasters, Ravage and Laserbeak, you could insert them one at a time in this cassette deck and have them deploy, much like we see in the original G1 cartoon. For a quick Siege size comparison, here is the Voyager class Soundwave next to the Siege Megatron and the Siege Shockwave. As you can see, I think he's great in scale. He is slightly shorter than Megatron, however is more in the same height as Shockwave. All I need now is to find Starscream and I'll have the main four. Now, before I transform Soundwave into his spaceship mode, I am actually going to show you the third hidden mode. It's not that hidden, it is showcased on the bottom of the packaging, and that is his Lamppost mode. In order to do this, we're going to want to remove the gun. Turning the figure around, you're going to want to take this section and angle this backwards, just like so, so that we can get the head rotated all the way in, just like that. What we can then do is lift this entire section up, and as you can see here, there is a big slot. This big tab here will just tab into just like that. What we can then do is turn our attention to the arms. What you are going to want to do is fold them inwards like so and bring them to the back just like that. Now, as you can see here, there are some tabs that on the forearms, there are some slight slots. You're going to want to bend at the grey section here. So angling that back, just bend at this grey section so that you can line that up and just tab it into place just like so. Repeat the exact same process on this side. Just line it up and tab that in just like so. Rotate the waist around so that the tape deck is now facing the back of the figure. Use that fake ab crunch, and there you have Soundwave in his Lamppost third alt mode. Now, in order to transform Soundwave from his Lamppost alt mode into his spaceship mode, you're going to want to bring the arms down just as they have a different configuration in this particular mode. Turning the figure around now, you're going to want to take these sections here and just lift those up and fold these panels up. That will then allow you to collapse the foot in, and you can bring that down and snap that into place. Repeat the same process on this side. Lift this section up, fold the foot in and snap that into place just like so. What you'll then want to do is rotate the thigh sections inwards so that you have got a tab on the inside, and two slots. These will tab together just like that. What you'll then want to do is take these sections. As you can see, there are two big ports that will plug into these rather large posts. So just lift these sections up. They do tab in down here and just snap those into place on both sides. What we can then do is take this whole section here and just take it and extend it. Now, as you can see here, there are two large slots that these two tabs are going to plug into. So you're going to want to take this and pull it all the way down just like that, and then try and tab those in. And whilst you're doing that, as you can see, there are two tabs here that will plug into two slots underneath this section. Just line that up and give that a firm push so that you are left with something that looks along the lines of this. What you'll then want to do is untab these and rotate these around just like so. Turn around to the base now, and as you can see here, this port here which you would attach the blast effects onto is actually going to tab into this section here. So just take that and snap that into place, and then rotate the arm like so, so that this tab here is facing the middle section of Soundwave bottom half. Repeat the exact same process on this side. So bring this all the way inwards and rotate that section in and snap that into place. Also, we can then tab these two halves together and bring this sledge section out just like so. Take these pieces here and fold those backwards also, all the way. Turning this around now, you're going to want to take these pieces, and they do just lift and kind of gently tab into this section underneath, just like so. And there you essentially have Soundwave in his completed spaceship alt mode. Now, whilst in this particular mode, you can take his weaponry and actually have it obtained onto this spaceship. Utilizing these ports at the top, you can literally just plug these weapons in to the top, just like so. Repeat the same process on this side, so just tab that in and realign that. And taking this smaller grey weapon that we saw in robot mode, you're going to want to fold it in upon itself, and this big tab here will plug into this slot on the side. So just plugging that in just like so. There are all of the weapons implemented onto Soundwave Spaceship mode. Now out of the robot mode and this mode, this is definitely the weakest of the two modes. I definitely think that it is rather bizarre. I would have much preferred if they would have gone with a boombox look. This really doesn't really look like a spaceship, if I'm being totally honest. Underneath it does look like these are sledges. As you can see, they are rather rounded and do look as if they are a part of some kind of sleigh. So perhaps this is supposed to glide along the floor, or when it comes in for landing and takeoff, it uses these to blast off and land. But this to me seems as if though it's some kind of runway. You know, Decepticons would fly off this and go flying off. But there would need to be a lot of mass shifting going on if they were to get a jet taking off on this particular platform. As you can see the cockpit there. There's some nice silver paint decos, and that weathering effect is present throughout the entirety of this particular mode. Like I said, it is rather bizarre, and this is where the tape deck does end out. You can eject it at the back, however it will just flop down just like that. So you're more than likely going to leave it plugged in just like so. So overall for this mode, it is decent. I mean, if you wish to believe that it is a spaceship, you definitely could. But personally, I'm going to keep this figure in his robot mode. So there you have it. Personally, I think that if you're collecting the Siege line, then Soundwave is definitely a character that you have to pick up. He is one of the main Decepticons, so even if you are just a casual collector, I definitely don't think he'll look too out of place on your shelf. He has a really, really solid robot mode, and I really do like the Lamppost mode. The spaceship mode, to me, is quite iffy. I'm not entirely sure as to what it is supposed to be. And if you use your imagination, you could probably configure this into some kind of boombox mode. I haven't found a way that's convincing without popping off the arms, and I don't want to do that too often, as I do imagine it will eventually stress and break the plastic. Overall, this is a really solid entry into the Siege War for Cybertron line, and I hope that you enjoyed this review. Thanks for watching.